Hello everybody and welcome back to another brand new video here on my channel. So in today's video guys, I've got my very first video about The Crew 2, actually The Crew in general, but yeah, The Crew 2 is the sequel to The Crew 1, obviously, and I'm going to give you my top 10 features and ideas that I would like to see come to The Crew 2 when it does eventually reveal, and obviously come out. I'm not sure if it'll come out this year, probably next year, but we'll have to see when Ubisoft actually comes out and says when the release date is. So with the recent announcement of Ubisoft's upcoming sequel to The Crew, I wanted to reveal a few of the features and ideas I'm hoping to see from the next open world racer by Ivory Tower. The Crew was a game that I purchased at launch, and I did actually play it quite a lot, although I've never actually made a video about it. I did play it quite a lot, and it was a game like no other, because not only could you build crazy circuit and raid cars, but you also had an entire map based on the entire country of America to mess about on with your friends. So I'll be sharing my top 10 features and improvements I would like to see come to The Crew 2, from aspects of the last game I want to see improved, to brand new additions missing from The Crew 1. There's a lot that we want to see from the next open world racer. I'll also talk about cars customization, improvements to the career storylines, online play, and so much more. So let's get straight into it. The first one, guys, is the career. Now, the career of any game is one of the most important aspects, especially with racing games. Now, with the decline of the story mode in racing games, it was brave for the Ivory Tower team to experiment with a campaign in The Crew, and in my opinion, it definitely paid off. The entire campaign revolved around you going undercover as a street racer to get revenge for your brother's death, while helping the FBI investigate a suspected crooked FBI agent. While it wasn't the most intriguing campaign, it was a nice addition to The Crew, and it was an easy way to introduce players to the various gameplay mechanics and progression systems found in the game. Hopefully the campaign is an area Ivory Tower continues to push forward in by introducing more engaging characters for us to discover, and includes different types of missions and not the same old race from point A to point B style we have in every other racing game. I hope that Ivory Tower takes a more laid-back approach like we saw with Ubisoft's Watch Dogs 2, and let's go with the serious setting of the game's story and moves on to a more relaxed point. The second point I want to mention, guys, is gameplay. Now, in terms of gameplay, I have a lot to say, as I really enjoyed how The Crew had many different events like faction missions and the mini challenges you encountered while driving around. These challenges added some fun to your long commutes from state to state, and was a great way to earn parts for your cars without actually having to purchase them. I would hope to see these challenges return to The Crew 2, as it was a great way to challenge your friends and earn rewards by simply doing a stunt jump or some slaloms. Earning money was a lengthy task in The Crew, and I would appreciate if Ivory Tower either made it easier to earn or added some form of weekly or monthly challenges like the ones in Horizon 3 called Forzathons. The Crew Wild Run expansion added a monthly summit event in which a new car could be earned by completing in different events each month. Having participated in these events granted you only a chance of winning the new car depending on where you ended up on the worldwide leaderboard. This meant it was hard to earn those cars for amateur players, and I think that The Crew 2 should have monthly or weekly challenges that everyone can participate in. These challenges could award players with money, parts, or even exclusive cars by simply playing the game for a few hours and completing the challenges. I think it would be a great way for the Ivory Tower team to bring back people to the game and keep the community alive. Something that every game should have nowadays is a difficulty setting of sorts, and this is something that The Crew was missing. We have many new players coming to the racing genre of games each year, and most of these players would be novice or amateur players. We also have the long-time fans of racing games who are looking for more of a challenge. The Crew gave you a recommended car level for each race, and if your car was above that level, you usually had no problem winning the race. If it was below, you would struggle to cross the line before the rest of the cars. Therefore, I think a difficulty setting is quite essential to make the game progress more. On top of that, I think an offline mode would also be nice, as I'm aware that The Crew is based around playing with other people and that it isn't labelled as a solo experience, but it should come with some form of an offline mode in case of an internet issue. So the third point is the customized races. Now, something I want them to do is introduce a new track editor or track creator feature, such in GTA. This would allow players to create their own tracks on the open world map of The Crew 2. There was a lot of race events and missions in The Crew, but sometimes I feel like I want to make my own, place my own checkpoints, adjust the weather, time of day, and place barriers to make things even more intense while racing. To have a track builder style feature where I could make and share races online would be a great addition to The Crew. From street racing to drift and drag events, this would open far more variety in the roster of circuits available to race on. Next one, guys, is the map. Now, the biggest selling point for the Crew was its huge open world map of America. It gave players the freedom to explore a gigantic map which contained iconic landmarks that you would see in real life. The Crew's map was like no other. Its sheer size blew everyone away, and that's what I think the Crew 2 is planning to do as well. The Crew 2 could be held anywhere in the world, but if I was to guess, I'd say either Europe or Africa. Yeah, everyone seems to be speculating about the map that it will be Europe, and I can see why, because Europe has beautiful buildings, historic landmarks, jaw-dropping views, gigantic forests, amazing roads, and so much more to do. So imagine racing at full speed down the Autobahn in Germany 1 minute, and then cruising past the Eiffel Tower in the next. Europe would be such a beautiful place to set the Crew to, and the vibrant colours would stand out by judging the yellow shape in the new T's logo. I would assume the area in which the Crew is set will be a bright and colourful one. The other place I think the Crew sequel could be set is Africa, and here's why. The teaser image came with the quote saying, "Be on the road, stay with us for more high-octane thrills." The tease suggests we'll see the Crew 2 feature a lot of off-roading action, and I think Africa would be a great place for the Crew to go. The scenic views and terrifying roads on the edges of cliffs will be amazing to drive on. Picture driving through the Sahara Desert with your friends in hypercars with the sun blazing in the distance. Africa would be quite ideal in my opinion, as the off-roading would be so much more fun, and it would, without a doubt, be quite unique to the racing scene. The fifth one, guys, is weather. Now, when it came to weather, I felt that the Crew was lacking quite a lot, because when it started raining, it just put some water droplets on your car and made the ground wet. What I would love to see in the Crew 2 is more dynamic weather, as I want to see lightning, thunderstorms, soaked roads, intense winds, fog, and so much more. Weather really adds to the game's atmosphere, and I think Ivory Tower has a great opportunity to experiment with it in the Crew 2. Whether it is set in Europe, Australia, Japan, Africa, etc., I would like to see the Ivory Tower show off what they have achieved. I want to see blizzards up the mountains, up the higher parts of the map, sunny beaches, rainforests, and much more. Forza Horizon 3 did weather really well, and the rain changed the handling of the cars, and it gave it a great atmosphere. Hopefully Ivory Tower decides to improve the weather in the Crew 2, and I can't wait to see what they come up with, and I'm sure I'll be really excited to drive around wherever the next game actually takes us. Obviously, guys, a big one the next is cars and customization. So of course the Crew can't be a racing game without cars, that's kind of obvious, but within the Crew 2, I'm hoping for a lot more vehicles. Somewhere around the 100 would be ideal, as the lineup wasn't the most appealing at launch in the Crew, nor was it very large, with around 60 cars. While the car list did improve over time with the addition of the DLC car packs, expansions and free cars added with the updates, it was still lacking. When it comes to cars, I would like to see extremely customizable rides like the Evo 10, the Toyota Supra, and the Nissan 350Z to the latest supercars like the 2017 Audi R8, Porsche 911, and Acura NSX. The car list was diverse in the Crew and ranged from hypercars and SUVs to hatchbacks and supercars. The car list was fresh at launch and had many cars which you'd never driven in a video game before, but it became boring very fast, and almost every second player you would encounter drove a Camaro. I would expect the game to be updated regularly with new cars, mods and liveries being added each month or even every fortnight. I could keep naming cars I want to see in the game, but I think it's time to move on to customization. So each car in the Crew had at least one spec variant. There were 5 different specs, which included street, dirt, performance, raid and circuit. So each spec came with new body modifications and drastically changed your car's handling. So I found that this made up for the very disappointing car list in the first place, and I would assume the Crew 2 would stick with the entire spec system as it worked really well in the first game. In addition, I would like to see some branded body kits and parts from aftermarket names such as Liberty Walk, Rocket Bunny, and even maybe some customised kits designed by the people at Ivory Tower, as we see in every other titles like Forza and Need for Speed. So the second, guys, is car and social features. Now, in terms of some features I've been waiting to see in the racing game, includes being able to roll down the windows and take the roof down in a convertible while in free roam. I've been dying for a game to let us do that since Test Drive Unlimited 2, and I think that the Crew 2 would be a great game to include it into. I also wouldn't mind some additional horns and options for neons or different coloured lights, as I do want the Crew to give us more freedom and let us explore and enjoy the map and the features in it. Some other features I would like to see include a club system which would create clubs and communities within the game, like what Horizon 3 did with its clubs, and I want to be able to join different communities and find new people to race with. I want to see several types of clubs, some dedicated to achieving 100% completion, some that just want to slide tuners and mountains at high speeds, and some that take their time to get the perfect photograph of their cars. I would like to see an almost Facebook-like kind of feed, social media feed, in which people can share their activities, tunes, liveries, time trials, and so on. Ivory Tower has a chance to, they have got a chance to make a community within the Crew 2, within a club system, and I hope they do go for it. If there was anything that the crew was lacking, it was more customizable settings. When the game launched, it had a very little control and difficulty settings, so I wouldn't mind if the Crew 2 added more settings, which would allow us to adjust our traction control and stability controls, and allow us to change our preferred gearing setup. Improved wheel support would also be a nice addition to the Crew 2, as it's desired by professional sim racers, especially those on the PC. Last for you guys, so the improved camera mode. I would also like to see this implemented into the game, a better camera mode. Other games such as Forza and Need for Speed have a very professional photo modes where users can change filters for their photos and even flip, zoom and rotate the angle of them. The Crew included a camera mode, but it felt very unfinished and difficult to control and manage. The racing game photography community has become very large thanks to games such as Horizon 3, and an improved camera mode will be a great way to show off their individuality and what cars they have actually created. Likewise, the Crew 2 could also introduce a drone mode like Horizon 3, but make it even better. One that can truly navigate the entire map for some stunning shots and to create videos simply unthinkable. Giving video creators the tools, like myself, to create something and lead to the most wonderful results. A drone mode would be a fantastic way to show off the new map and its features and landmarks. Final for you guys, so the second to last one is Project Scorpio and PS4 Pro. Now we know the Crew 2 will most likely be required to take advantage of the Project Scorpio, Microsoft's upgraded Xbox One console, as well as Sony's PS4 Pro. This could mean two things: the Crew with the locked 60 FPS on consoles, and the Crew running in native 4K resolution on the upgraded systems, which is a lot to be excited about. As well as the enhanced visuals and frame rate, I hope Ivory Tower sees the potential for even bigger and better features, powered by the upgraded hardware. Only time will tell, but I'm very excited to play the Crew 2 on the Scorpio when both launch later in the year. Final one guys is the Ivory Tower itself and the post-launch support. So while the Crew was an amazing unique game, it did come with its fair share of problems and bugs at launch. Many of these included glitches and connectivity problems. The Crew did receive quite harsh criticisms for having a clunky and unrealistic physics engine, so Ivory Tower was quick to respond and fixed all the major bugs and glitches in the game, even refreshing the entire game with a huge update that improved the graphics and physics engine of the game a few months after it launched. They knew what the people wanted and they delivered. The Crew received constant upgrades throughout its lifespan, and Ivory Tower was engaging with the community every chance they got. Very good to see that in the racing game community. Special events were hosted and limited edition wrapped paints and cars were added as a thank you for people coming back to the game. I hope Ivory Tower keeps this up, as I really liked what they did with the Crew 1. The Crew 2 will definitely be one of my favourite racing games for a while when it does launch. I love what Ivory Tower did with the first one, and I can't wait to see what they do come up with. It is shaping to be a great franchise in my personal opinion. Ivory Tower was really involved with the community, and I do hope to see the same with the Crew 2. So tell me guys, where do you think the next game will be held, and what sort of things would you like to see come to the Crew 2? Let me know down there in the comments below. By leaving a comment, I'll be sure to reply to as many of you as I can. I always do try to communicate with you guys as much as I can in my videos. But anyway guys, that is it for me in today's video. Let me know what you thought about my points guys, and if you'd like to see anything changed or anything different from the Crew 1 brought into the Crew 2. That's it for me in today's video guys. I did hope you enjoy it, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you over in my next video guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.